Hey guys, today I just want to share a video with you guys about how to use the new remote for the Mitsubishi GS indoor unit, and there have been some requests, so I just wanted to take a few minutes and go over this with you guys. So I'm just going to switch over to the remote itself, and I'm going to go through the settings real quick. So you might already have a remote like this, exactly like this model, or you may have one of the previous models which will have some differences, but obviously this is the on and off button right here. So when you press it, it toggles between on and off. The reason I'm talking about this is because the unit itself has to receive that call for operation, and this is like one of those old TV remotes. It's kind of a line of sight communication, and if you mount it on the wall somewhere across the room, usually it will work, but not always. So just be aware if you're having any trouble with that. I would just want to make sure you're pointing the remote at the unit. And you also should hear a beep, like a beep, when this unit turns on and off. The other thing, obviously temperature up and down, very easy to use. But what you should know about that is that this particular remote does not measure temperature, but temperature is measured at the intake, which is at the top of the unit. So air goes over to the top of the unit. Let's see if I can reach high enough to show you. And that's where the room air is measured as it gets pulled into the unit. And the reason that's good is because the fan is running continuously to keep the air in the room moving at a very low rate, so it's quiet and it's not drafty. But at the same time, it's making sure you don't have cold and hot spots formed in the room. So that's on purpose. If for some reason you want that continuous fan to be turned off, there is a jumper on the board inside of the unit that we can cut, and that feature will be disabled permanently. The mode of operation, so I'll turn it on, and as you can see up here, it says auto. If I press mode, it'll cycle to cool. If I press again, it goes to dry, which is dehumidification, then heat, then back to auto. So I want to take a few seconds to talk about this portion. So the biggest thing to know about the auto mode is that we never recommend using the auto mode. Auto would mean that you can have one temperature setting. So let's just say it's set for 70 degrees, and the idea is that your room will always be at 70. That could be true, but not necessarily. The unit algorithm will allow the unit to go all the way up to 74.5 degrees before the cooling comes on, and all the way down to 65.5 degrees before the heating comes on. So that gives you a 9-degree temperature swing, and for most people that is not comfortable, so we don't recommend using this mode. However, I've used this in my own house with 5 zones of these Mitsubishi indoor units, and most of the time it was okay. It was not different enough from room to cause discomfort. So you're welcome to try this. Just remember, it's not recommended because of those wide temperature swings. And the other thing to say about that is, if you were to use this, let's just say this room is calling for cooling, but downstairs, 3 levels below, it's calling for heating. If this unit came on first, then the one in the basement will have to wait until this is done cooling, and then the one in the basement is going to start heating. And then when that is done heating, this will come back in cooling if it needs to cool, but it won't cool this room upstairs unless the basement is done heating. So just keep in mind there is this waiting game, which might work fine for your house, but for some homes does not work well, and so generally we don't recommend that. So that's what to know about the auto. If we switch over to cool, this is very basic cool. In the cool mode, the unit will mostly cool the air temperature, and it will remove some moisture and humidity from the air. In the dry mode, it will do a lot of moisture removal and some cooling. And the dry mode is not going to measure a temperature, or a humidity percentage in the air. It's just going to go through a preset algorithm that the manufacturer has deemed most suitable for dehumidification, for best efficiency, and the most amount of moisture removal. So that's what the dry mode does. And if you wanted to have more control over the humidity set point, there is an MHK2 wall-mounted thermostat. It's actually also kind of mobile and wireless, so it just looks more like a thermostat, and you have a few more features on that. The heat mode, again, very self-explanatory, and because we're in the Pacific Northwest, this is probably the most common one that you will use. In other parts of the country might be cool or something else. Econo-cool here, what this mode does, this is for places like California or other parts of the country that there are a lot of brownouts, a lot of demand on the grid during peak hours. And so Econo-cool would minimize the unit operation at about 1/3 of its capacity, and that allows everybody to have some cooling rather than no one having any cooling because the grid goes down. So this does not mean that if you press this button, your air conditioner will run more efficiently. So it could be a bit misleading when it says Econo-cool. It just means like, oh wow, this is the energy efficient mode. It's really not what it means. It just means that it's going to be locked into first gear, so to speak. When it comes to the fan, as you can see, there's the symbol right here, and the symbol is for, it looks like an ear and somebody listening to something, right? All that means is that it's the lowest speed, sort of like below speed 1 for the fan. If you press again, it goes to speed 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the symbol means the fan will be in the auto mode. Auto mode will try to be as quiet as possible and as low of a fan speed as possible, and it will only ramp up if the unit can keep up with the demand for heating or cooling, and it will basically ramp up as necessary to deliver more capacity. One thing to note about the fan operation, if you're in any of these speeds, like this quietest one, 1, 2, or 3, this will also limit the amount of heat the unit can deliver. So the compressor will dial down and it will not produce more heat than what this fan can deliver. So on the hottest summer day or the coldest winter day, if you're having a hard time with any of these settings, including the auto, then you should probably manually select the 4th speed. And then the vane operation is pretty basic. You can choose the vane operation up and down, oscillating, or auto. In the auto mode, all it does is you need to control the flow. So in the AC mode, the vanes would be sort of the way they are right now, blowing across the top of the room. And in the cooling, sorry, that's in the cooling mode. In the heating mode, it would blow straight down to disperse the cold spots from the floor. So that's pretty much the quick overview of how to use this remote. There's a lot of other details that we can go through, and we'll do it another time. I think the guys are outside running the line sets. Maybe I'll go outside and show you a quick preview of what that looks like. But anyway, that's what's going on today. I wanted to share this remote and how it works, and I'll get back to work. Now, if you're wondering why it was so noisy, it's because Mr. Kevin was making noise up there. Check it out. Somebody's going on vacation. All right. How's it going, Kevin?
It's going all right.
Let's say hi to the camera.
Hey to the camera.
He says hi to the camera. Oh, yeah. It's a nice day. Anyway, so that's what we're doing here. We're doing a 4-zone system. 1, 2, 3, and one around the corner, 4.